I want to set the scene because the context of this gospel reading is so very, very important. During those days, he went out he came down with them and stood on a level place with a great crowd of his disciples and a great multitude of people from all Judea, Jerusalem, and the coast of Tyre and Sidon. That first sentence begins to set the context for what we just heard. He stood on a level place, and a great crowd of his disciples and a great multitude of people from all Judea. That means everywhere where they knew, their whole region. People were coming from everywhere, even from the capital, Jerusalem. That's where all the really important people would have been, right? And even from the remote regions like Tyre and Sidon, people were coming to this Jesus. And so I think it's important to ask ourselves the question, why? Why were these multitudes gathering around Jesus? Now, you've heard me talk in previous weeks about this context, this time. It was not an easy time for them. This was a time of suffering, okay? But these are the chosen people. Their whole story is that they are the ones that were chosen of God to reveal the blessings of living with God. And here they are, living under yet another occupation. It's not the first one. It's not even the third one. They are living under the power and the authority of a foreign Gentile government that insists that they worship according to unfamiliar and offensive rules, and that they pay taxes to a government and an emperor that is so far away that none of them have ever even been there. This is a difficult time. These chosen people have known prosperity. They were the ones who God led out of Egypt. The very Red Sea opened for them, and they went through on dry land. God protected them in the wilderness for 40 years and ultimately led them into the promised land, this land of plenty, this land of milk and honey, as it says. And in this beautiful land, their kingdom flourished, and they had King David, and it was great. And they had King Solomon, and they were rich and they were powerful. And it's all gone now. They are subject. And they look around them. And they see all of these homeless people. People living on the edge of town, living in shacks, living under awnings, living in tents. And they look around and they see poverty. They see hungry people begging in the streets. It sure seems familiar to me. Don't we think of ourselves, we Americans, as chosen people? We think pretty highly of ourselves, really. I mean, honestly, don't we? We are the land of the free, the home of the brave. We live the American dream. But I don't remember that American dream when I was in high school, including tent encampments under the freeway abutments. I don't remember that, do you? I think that's new. I don't remember hunger to the point. I remember reading about hunger. I remember reading about soup lines. That was something that happened to our grandparents' generation or their parents' generation in the Depression, in the 20s, right? And we used to talk about that Depression mentality, about Grandma who would take the paper towel that she used to dry her hands and lay it over the top of the rack to let it dry, because you could use that again. And we thought, just throw it away, Grandma, come on. We have lived that dream, that American dream, and now we look around ourselves and we see this suffering. And so that's the kind of world that Jesus came into, this kind of world. To a people who had believed that they were the chosen ones, and suddenly find themselves living in privation, living with poverty and homelessness and hunger, living with division within their own families even. Imagine what it would have been like if in your family, one of the leading members of your family took a contract to be a tax collector for Rome. Oh, they don't get invited to the family dinner parties anymore. They're not welcome at the family table anymore. Or what if, in a more modern sense, right? If you're a family that's all vaccinated and then you find out that Uncle Joe is a vaccine denier. He says, oh, those things are bad. I'm never going to let anyone vaccinate me. And suddenly you've got this division right there in your family. These things are still going on today. That's the context. And in this context, Christ is revealed. And Christ is revealed with wonder and with power. It's this beautiful thing. It's so startling. It's so visible that people are drawn from all over the region, from all of Judea, even from Jerusalem, and from the farthest reaches of Tyre and Sidon. They came to hear him and to be healed of their diseases. This was a real blessing. This wasn't just a hope for the future. They were healed of their diseases. And those who were troubled with unclean spirits were cured. And all the crowd were trying to touch him, for power came out from him and healed all of them. Wow. This is Christ. This is God revealed to the people. This is the healing love of God present to them in this Jesus from Nazareth, a very unexpected character, and yet here he is. And he has made such an impression that people come from all over the place to hear him. Well, what does this mean? Why is this happening? Jesus looked up at his disciples and said, "Blessed are you who are poor, for yours is the kingdom of God. Blessed are you who are hungry now, for you will be filled. Blessed are you who weep now, for you will laugh. Blessed are you when people hate you, and when they exclude you, revile you, and defame you on account of the Son of Man, because of your faith. Rejoice in that day and leap for joy, for surely your reward is great in heaven. For that is what their ancestors did to the prophets. But woe to you who are rich, for you have received your consolation. Woe to you who are full now, for you will be hungry. Woe to you who are laughing now, for you will mourn and weep. Woe to you when people speak well of you, for that is what their ancestors did to the false prophets." Now, let's go back to the context. People from the entire region were coming to hear Jesus, to be healed by Jesus, to hear his preaching and his teaching, to touch him and feel the power of the presence of God in a person. With that many people, I guarantee you, there were rich and poor. There were slaves and free. There were Greek Jews, people who had been in the diaspora and come back. And there were very traditional Jewish Jews, right? People who hadn't been Hellenized by the surrounding Greek culture. There were all different kinds of people present to Christ. And to those who were hungry, he said, "Blessed are you who are hungry now, for you will be filled." And to those who were rich and well-fed, he said, "Woe to you, for you have received your consolation." The whole world is turned upside down by the coming of God in the person of Christ. What was up is now down. What was down is now up. The hungry are fed, and things change even for those who are wealthy. What does this mean? What are we to do in the face of such a revelation? At times like this, I wish that the gospel reading had included the next lines, because that's what comes next. Jesus says, "I say to you that listen, rich and poor, slave and free, Greek and Jew. I say to you that listen, those from Tyre and Sidon, the Gentile regions, those from Jerusalem, the purely religious of Jerusalem, right? I say to you that listen, love your enemies. Do good to those who hate you. Bless those who curse you. Pray for those who abuse you. If anyone strikes you on the cheek, offer the other also. And if anyone takes away your coat, do not withhold even your shirt. Give to everyone who begs from you. And if anyone takes away your goods, do not ask for them again. Do to others as you would have them do to you. Everything is changed. God is present to the people who are suffering. God was present to them in the person of Jesus of Nazareth, the Christ. And God is present to us here, today. And it turns everything upside down. And we respond. We respond. In this congregation, we use particular language to talk about our response to God. And that language comes from the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Thy kingdom come on earth as it is in heaven. And so we say, on earth as in heaven, we dream of a world where all are welcome, all are fed, and all are loved. That's our response to the gift of the revelation of Christ among us. We respond with that dream, and we know that it's not true. We know that it's not true for everyone. That's why we have homeless camps still. That's why there are still garbage piles and tents and people living in horrible conditions under the freeways throughout our city. That's why people are getting evicted from their homes and losing their jobs. We live in a difficult and challenging time. We know this, and our response is to live for that dream. And we do that together as a congregation. We feed people on Tuesdays. We give people a place to come when the weather is so cold that you can't be safe outside. We open our parish hall to the severe weather emergency shelter. We open our hearts to one another and to our neighbors and to those in need. We respond in love and generosity. We do the best we can. That's what I got from this morning. I read this gospel reading and I thought, wow, what must it have been like to be there and suddenly Christ is among us. Christ is with us. And what I would like to do, the way I would like to end today's sermon is just to ask you, what do you hear in this? How does this call on your heart? What do you hear in this message that up is down, that the poor will be fed, the hungry will be fed, and the rich will go away empty? What do you hear in this turning of the tables, in this revelation of God's love, that everything is now different? Go ahead, Marilyn. Marilyn says, it always worries me a little because clearly the rich don't turn out, it doesn't turn out so well for the rich in Jesus' warnings here, right? And we are clearly the rich. Here we are sitting inside in this beautifully heated space with electrical light, and right there, our friends of Camp United We Stand are living in tents. Yeah, we should be worried. That's a good point, Marilyn. Thank you. Alice?
I am reminded that a move towards equality feels like oppression to those who have.
A move towards equality feels like oppression to those who have.
Yes,
and abundance and gifts to those who have not. Right. That's that turning things over that Jesus talks about in his blessings and woes in the first part, in the second part of what we heard today. Tina.
Sometimes I feel compelled to go home and just give everything away that I have. And then I get home and I go, and what would I do then?
Yeah.
So there's just this conflict of this
How
urge
do we respond?
to give, but I still have to survive. So where is that line?
How do we respond? She says, sometimes I feel as if I just need to go home and give away everything that I have. And many people in history, we've heard about people who actually did that. And then you find yourself wondering, well, if I give everything I have away, how will I care for myself? How will I continue to make a difference in the world if I give everything away? Right? How do I respond to God tomorrow if I give everything away today? That's a conundrum that these Beatitudes and woes puts in front of us. Because the rules have changed. The rules have changed. That's why the blessings and woes are here. That's why they're so challenging for us. The rules have changed, just like what's valuable has changed. The coin of the realm, right? What the currency of the time is based on. It's going from gold to God's love. It's going from possessions and power to caring and compassion. It's a complete turning on its head of the world we live in. Final thoughts? Sharon, yeah.
Well, I actually come away from this and I think, what does it mean to have enough? What is enoughness? And if I can figure out what's enough, then I can figure out what I can give away.
Sharon says, I find myself wondering what is enough, and how do you know what is enough so that you can know how much to give away and how much to keep so that you have enough? I think that's an important, and there's probably not an answer to that question. But to dwell in that question can help you be in right relationship with God and with your neighbor. Dwell in that question, discern that question. Don't stop asking it. Yes, Sarah.
The thing that struck me with the reading, and I agree with you, I think the next section is what gives this reading power. It gives you the mechanism for how to do that. And that's everybody. We all have to forgive.
Yeah.
We all have to, can you read that section again? The one after.
But I say to you that listen, love your enemies, do good to those who hate you, bless those who curse you, pray for those who abuse you. If anyone strikes you on the cheek, offer the other also. And from anyone who takes away your coat, do not withhold even your shirt. Give to everyone who begs from you. If anyone takes away your goods, do not ask for them again. Do to others as you would have them do to you.
I think that's the leveler. Absolutely everybody
Right.
can practice that, whether you're rich or poor. If we use that mechanism,
Right.
we end up walking into the kingdom of God, sometimes just by accident. We go, oh, this is what it's like in here, huh?
So what Sarah is saying is that next thing that Jesus says is the answer to this conundrum, this unsolvable puzzle. How are we who identify as rich to respond to this? How can we possibly respond to this? Well, Jesus says, I say to you that listen. And remember, the people that were listening were all the people, rich and poor, slaves and free, Greek and Jew. I say to you that listen, love your enemies, do good to those who hate you, bless those who curse you, pray for those who abuse you. If anyone strikes you on the cheek, offer the other also. And from anyone who takes away your coat, do not withhold even your shirt. Give to everyone who begs from you. And if anyone takes away your goods, do not ask them for them again. Do to others as you would have them do to you. If you love those who love you, what credit is that to you? For even sinners love those who love them. If you do good to those who do good to you, what credit is that to you? For even sinners do the same. If you lend to those from whom you hope to receive, what credit is that to you? Even sinners lend to sinners to receive as much again. But love your enemies. Whoops. Love your enemies? Terry, yeah.
In case we need to be reminded of this, those who have not actually have ambassadors, and they are at each intersection and red light people come to. So you can leave here and forget about it until you get on the road and see people with signs.
Yep.
Those are the ambassadors of that happens.
What Terry said was, there are ambassadors for the have-nots in this story. And they sit at every freeway off-ramp and intersection. When you see the person with that sign that says, anything helps, they're reminding you of all those who do not have a home to go home to, who do not have a job to care for them. John.
For a good part of my work career, I bought into and believed in the corporate system. I was part of the corporate system. Now that my life is totally different, in my mind I often wonder, those people that I lived and worked with in corporate America, I'm the exact opposite of what I once believed in.
So you find your values have shifted dramatically since you put on that brown robe again. Awesome. All right, it is 10:38, and I have to stop. So thank you all very, very much for engaging with me on this wonderful gospel message today.